1942 Europe was a battle-scarred continent swept by the storms of World War II. The seas turned into a war theater, the calm was replaced by the sounds of destruction, and the skyscrapers of warships faced the other in a deadly duel. This is a tale of HMS Resolute, a majestic British battleship that sailed through the war and became a symbol of victory, the truth, and mystery. The call to arms. HMS Resolute was a mighty ace of the Navy. Her strong armaments and sturdy armor were showing that clearly. Even if the crew on board was mixing the old hands with the newbies, they had a common goal. They were to gloss over their homeland and to see the end of a regime that was dangerous to the world. As the war intensified, Resolute was assigned to critical operations in the Atlantic Ocean, where the Allies were striking at vital supply routes and aiming to diminish the Axis naval forces. The Resolute's commander, Captain Jonathan Mitchell, was a man of great experience with an extremely innovative mind and will to win. Under his order, the crew kept a high level of training and closely practiced for the hurdles the future might bring. The crew also included Lieutenant Sarah Collins. She was a talented navigator who could see all the tiny mistakes you could make. Chief Engineer Tommy Harris was there as well. He was a true master of troubleshooting and able to sustain the ship's performance even in emergencies. The Atlantic Gauntlet. The Atlantic was a place of danger, its water containing submarines and raiders lurking on the surface. The crew of Resolute knew the dangers that were coming their way, but their iron will was not shaken. For weeks, they defied the bitter cold seas, having severe clashes with their opponents and evacuation of their ships, to say nothing of their endurance. Every bump in the road proved they were brave enough. The crew's solidarity and perseverance strengthened with each triumph. During one of the most dangerous operations, Resolute has met the German U-boat's Wolf Pack. The clash was close, with torpedoes making their way through the water and the ship guns roaring to take out the enemy. Lieutenant Collins' quick mind and track his course with great precision helped us to avoid some torpedoes. At the same time, Chief Engineer Harris, together with his crew, were doing everything they could to run the engines and fix the damage incurred during the fight. The efforts were fruitful, as Resolute did sink 2 U-boats and send away the rest, thus winning the safe passage of a much-needed supply convoy, the Battle of the Bulge. In the month of December 1944, Resolute was one of the naval forces taking part in the Battle of the Bulge, a desperate German counteroffensive in the Ardennes. The clash was a bloody one with fierce battles taking place on land and sea. Resolute's weapons roared when she rendered important fire assistance for the ground forces. Though the Allies suffered under critical weather conditions and continuous enemy attacks, they proved steadfast, thereby turning the battle to their side. The experience of dealing with the bitter cold and perilous weather made the operation more challenging. The crew aboard Resolute not only had to endure enemy shots, but also had to bear the bombardment of winter storms. Captain Mitchell's ability to motivate his people, along with their unwavering grit, was a decisive factor as they fought to help the ground forces. Their unshakable willpower enabled them to take over the strategic points, and in the end, they became a part of the Allies' victory in the Ardennes. The Phantom Ship. While the battle lasted, a rumor was being spread around the crew about a Phantom Ship. Sailors said that they had spotted a ghost ship which was appearing and disappearing in the fog. Its presence was signifying death to anyone who came across. The skeptics considered the stories as mere superstitions, but the number of sightings did not stop. Rather, it grew, causing the crew to feel more and more uneasy. The first sighting occurred during a normal mission in the North Atlantic. As night came and the fog thickened, the lookouts saw a faint, strange silhouette on the horizon. The crew maintained their silence as the ghost ship continued to move through the mist before disappearing. No matter how hard one looked, there was no sign of the vessel. The incident caused the crew to feel disturbed, and the news of the ship's return spread quickly. The Enigma Code. On a stormy night, Resolute caught a distress signal from a British merchant ship being attacked by a German raider. The Resolute ship was the first to arrive at the scene and engaged in a fierce battle with the enemy. Just as the raider was being sunk, the crew stumbled upon a stash of documents hidden in the merchant ship. Among them was a partially decoded Enigma message that was revealing a secret German operation in the Atlantic. The acquisition of the Enigma message was a significant moment. The partially decoded message included bits of information regarding a German naval operation which was planned and could have caused a lot of damage to the Allies' war effort. Captain Mitchell, along with his men, worked day and night to find the clues, at last, revealing the time and location of the enemy operation. With the help of this indispensable intelligence, Resolute became a part of a task force to intercept and eliminate the danger. ## Chapter 6. The Hunt for the Bismarck. The knowledge of the message from Enigma helped Resolute take part in a task force to hunt the German battleship Bismarck. The Bismarck was a strong enemy, and the stakes were very high. The Allies eventually trapped the Bismarck after several days of non-stop pursuit. In the decisive battle, Resolute and her companions fired a barrage of missiles at the Bismarck, crippling it and sinking it to the bottom of the ocean. The Bismarck's search was a hard struggle. The German battleship, with its heavy armament and armor, was a dangerous opponent. The task force, which consisted of several British and Allied warships, made a coordinated effort to track and engage the Bismarck. Resolute was instrumental in the last battle, her guns pounding the enemy ship without mercy. Although the victory came with several Allied ships being heavily damaged, the destruction of the Bismarck was a major strategic success. The truth revealed. After the Bismarck was defeated, Resolute went back to the port for repairs. While the crew was having a good time celebrating their hard-won victory, a mysterious man, a British intelligence officer, came to them and told them the real importance of the Enigma message. The Germans had planned a huge naval operation that would have made the war shift to their favor. Resolute's activities had disturbed this plan, and thus, numerous lives had been saved and a key victory was achieved for the Allies. The intelligence officer, Agent Gray, paradoxically sharing the details of the operation that was stopped. The Germans had planned to carry out a synchronized attack on different crucial Allied supply routes, which would have disrupted the flow of essential resources and reinforcements for the Allies. Such a devastating blow was possible, but the crew's interception of the Enigma message and the actions that followed had averted it. The crew's courage and quick thinking had secured their own survival and at the same time had made a significant contribution to the war effort.
The ghost in the fog. Even though they were successful, the mystery of the ghost ship still remained. A stormy night, when Resolute was patrolling the Atlantic, the phantom vessel came again in front of them. They were ready this time. They sent a group of men to board the ship, but to their surprise, the ship was empty, and its crew was nowhere to be found. A totally silent area was where they found an old logbook, its pages full of enigmatic notes and maps. The boarding party, under the command of Lieutenant Collins, was a curious and anxious group when they were exploring the abandoned ship. The logbook they found was a collection of mysterious references to places, coded messages, and strange symbols. The Resolute's crew was puzzled by the documents that suggested the existence of naval bases, secret supplies, and a network of spies. The plot became more intricate, making the crew have more inquiries than solutions. The final battle. As the war was coming to an end, Resolute was asked to be involved in one last decisive battle. The Allies were informed that the Axis was trying to gather their remaining naval forces for a final attack. In a high-intensity encounter, the oceans seemed to tremble, while the battle erupted with the sounds of heavy artillery and the ringing of swords. Resolute fought courageously, with her crew displaying determination and bravery without any sign of weakening. The final battle was a grand confrontation of the very last die-hard sailors of the Axis naval fleet and the amassed force of the Allied fleet. The problem was that, for both of them, it was the most decisive moment ever. The outcome of the war could be determined by this confrontation. The crew of Resolute, who went through all those hardships and were fueled by their fierce sense of duty, fought tooth and nail. Hours were the duration of the battle, and damage was severely sustained by ships on both sides. In the midst of the fight, Captain Mitchell made a risky but clever tactical choice, positioning Resolute in a way that it could execute a telling strike against the enemy flagship. The maneuver was risky, exposing the ship to intense fire, but it paid off. The guns of Resolute opened fire, and the enemy flagship suffered severe damage. The Axis forces, who were suffering from low morale and lack of organization, started to retreat. The Allies took advantage of this situation, and by this, they managed to get a hard-fought victory. Victory and beyond. The Axis naval forces were defeated, and as a result, the war in Europe was coming to an end. HMS Resolute came back home to a hero's welcome. The crew of the ship was celebrated as the champions of the seas. The old logbook from the ship that had been a phantom was delivered to the intelligence. The secrets that are still left unknown are still a mystery. As the world started to heal from the wounds of war, the legend of HMS Resolute came into being. This is a legend that tells about the power of courage, truth, and the never-failing spirit of those who fought for freedom. The return to port was a moment of joy and thought. The crew of Resolute, who had gone through innumerable perils and had rusty-faced major obstacles, were awarded for their bravery and service. The ship, battle-scarred but still resolute, was recognized as a symbol of the Allied victory. The logbook that was woven, now with intelligence specialists, not just because it was a logbook but because it also seemed to have a mysterious layer, was still piquing curiosity and puzzling people. The scribbled codes and charts have been raising hypotheses about a hidden world of wartime secrets and covert activities. Some enigma was unveiled, but others remained incomprehensible, creating thus the ghost ship legend everlasting. Epilogue. Time passed, and as the world was reflecting on the war, the HMS Resolute's legacy was still alive despite the years. Their courage and selflessness had not just guaranteed victory, but also encouraged the next generations. The enigma of the Phantom ship and its logbook was still using to be a solution to adventure problems. This is what the story of HMS Resolute brims with, a history lesson full of hope for those wondering if the light can ever emerge from the darkest of times, aside from the truth and inner strength of people. The conquered and resolute crew members went on to live their lives to the fullest while remembering the valuable lessons they learned and the bonds they forged during the war. Captain Mitchell was a man of honor, and he shared his experiences and wisdom with the next generations of naval officers. Lieutenant Collins became one of the most known authors in a short time. She wrote a series of books that were inspired by her adventures and the mystery of the Phantom ship. Chief Engineer Harris was the one who invented more things, as he worked on the naval engineering advancements after the war. The story of HMS Resolute was retold and rewritten, and old-timers used it to inspire and be proud of their people. It meant to draw from the memories of ancient heroes to use the will of humans and virtue in making the right decisions. The Phantom ship and the mysterious logbook became a legend, to be told to the children, and to quench the thirst for adventures in the old ones. The epic tale of HMS Resolute has the whole spectrum of the warships of World War II, bringing to our minds that of victory, anguish, and of abiding mystery. Be it the investigating of the unexplainable Phantom ship or the hard-fought victories, the journey of Resolute and her crew is a captivating and inspirational story for all time. Subscribe this YouTube channel and press notification button for more latest update. Like and comment now. What do you do next? Enter what you want to do, or use a shortcut. A. Discover more about the Phantom ship. B. Rejoice with the crew over the victory. C. Uncover the secrets hidden in the logbook. D. Get ready for a new mission.